Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everybody. This is Bob Hollis with Mobius Intelligent Systems, providing hosting for the California Product Stewardship Council solar panel webinar today. I'd just like to give you a quick orientation to the system so that you can participate. Everybody is muted by default. The system holds up to 1,000 people, so that helps keep background noise down. However, we greatly encourage questions, and Joanne will tell you more about that process in the end, or after we finish this brief portion. But the webinar is being recorded. All attendees are muted by default. To ask a question, just type it into the webinar control panel and hit send. If you're having any technical difficulties, visit gotowebinar.com and click the FAQs, and usually there's a quick answer there. If you happen to be unmuted to speak during the webinar, please do not use a speakerphone. You can use the orange button here to slide the panel in and out. If it seems like it's disappeared, just click that and it should open back up. Any messages from presenters will appear down here in the message box. And again, you're encouraged to submit any questions through the control panel. And with that, I will switch it over to Joanne, who will take it from here.
Thank you, Bob. Welcome, everybody, to our webinar on solar panel recycling in California. I thank everyone for taking the time to attend our webinar. And as Bob Hollis said, we do have opportunities for question and answer at the end. We are scheduled for an hour and a half. We're hoping to complete the slides within an hour, which gives us a full half hour for question and answer and any other opportunities for discussion. Please don't hesitate to type your question into the box. I will answer them if they pop up relative to the slide, but we'll also address them at the end. On today's webinar, we have a couple panelists. We'll introduce just the two speakers and some of the background information that we're bringing to this webinar. We're going to cover some of the topics of how solar panels are being managed in California currently, how we hope they are managed moving forward. And we'll also be talking about some of our grant projects that we have in Butte County and the city of Santa Monica as funded by CalRecycle. We'll also have some opportunity at the end of this webinar to talk about some recommendations on what listeners can do if their solar panels are reaching their end of life. The information that we are presenting today in the webinar is information that we learned through online surveys, through CPSC, and through our grant projects. We've also conducted phone interviews for recyclers and solar installers. We've also been attending the workshops hosted by the Department of Toxic Substance Control and the workshops hosted by CalRecycle in April in San Francisco. So we're hoping to bring all the information that we've learned and share it with those on the webinar. Our speakers today are Drew Lowell. He's the Sustainability Analyst for the City of Santa Monica. He runs the Solar Santa Monica program and is our grant partner on our HG31 grant with CalRecycle. Me, your speaker, I am Joanne Brash. I'm the Special Project Manager at the California Product Stewardship Council. I have a PhD in industrial economics, where I studied circularity, circular industrial systems on a global scale. The California Product Stewardship Council is a small but mighty team of 6. We are a nonprofit, and you can see on our board executive committee, we have representation from cities and counties all over the state, including rural. Our chair is the city manager of Corning, and urban, our secretary is with the LA County Public Works. Our board, as you can see, ranges not just local governments. We also have representation from haulers and recyclers, and we are always looking for engagement. We noticed that in the registration, there were quite a few representatives from some of our CPSC associates. So I'd like to take a moment and say thank you and hello to people from San Diego, Fresno, Santa Cruz, Sonoma, Yolo, Kern, and many more. We appreciate you tuning in, and we know that you're often engaged in some of our other activities, and we appreciate you being here on the webinar. If your jurisdiction or your company is a participant or a funder of CPSC, you gain access to a lot of our other benefits. For example, this is just one of our webinars that's free because it's funded by CalRecycle, but we have other webinars on other products. We have projects like the one we have in Santa Monica, and we're always looking to engage local governments to expand our mission, which is to shift California's product waste management system to one that's focused on, government-funded and ratepayer-financed waste diversion to a system that relies on producer responsibility in order to reduce public costs and drive improvements in product designs and promote environmental sustainability. This is a great opportunity for me to introduce this concept of producer responsibility. Producer responsibility is the theory that manufacturers need to be stewards of their products that enter our market, meaning as their products are in use, ensuring they're safe, ensuring they're non-toxic, but also ensuring that at end of life, these products are recyclable, that they are safely managed in a manner that is not costly and burdensome to our government and citizens. We also have expanded to a national affiliate. CPSC has grown to expand to our National Stewardship Action Council, and we work on some of these topics beyond just California. So this would be a great opportunity to say hello and thank attendees on the webinars from other states, including Maine, Nevada, and New Mexico. We hope that you can learn from what's going on in California and some of the projects that we're doing in California so that we can ensure a solar system is sustainable nationally and globally so these products are managed efficiently at end of life. And with this opportunity, I'm actually going to turn the deck over to my co-presenter, Drew, and he can give you a little background on his work in Santa Monica.
Thank you, Joanne. Hi, everyone. My name is Drew Lowell, and I'm a sustainability analyst with the city of Santa Monica. And I've been managing the Solar Santa Monica program for about 11 years now. So I've dedicated my career to encouraging the installation of solar thermal and solar photovoltaic panels, because at least here in Santa Monica, it's the most suitable and cost-effective way for our property owners and our city buildings to reduce emissions and reduce utility bills. But admittedly, I'd given little thought to the end-of-life management of these technologies. It's more important now than ever, since some of these early systems have been in for decades, that we consider how these panels are going to be managed. Here in Santa Monica, we have a little over 900 solar systems installed with a total capacity of about 6.6 megawatts. That equates to around 26,000 PV panels. About 8% of our single-family homes have solar. And most of these are obviously going to be on the rooftops for decades to come. However, there are at least 4,000 solar panels that were installed over 10 years ago. So we are going to have to come up with a way to properly manage and dispose of these panels when they need to be removed and replaced. Solar panels are decommissioned for a variety of reasons. There's death by fire, there's death by bullet. These are just a couple of examples, extreme examples. But of course, there's some more common ways that solar is decommissioned. They're either at the end of their useful life after 20, 30 years. There's a small percentage of modules that are faulty from the factory, and installers typically just return them to the manufacturer, but what those manufacturers do with them is still in question. And of course, with the increase in wildfires, at least here in California, we're seeing, many, many homes with PV systems that get burned, and these panels need a place to go. And right now, there's no state or federal plan for how to effectively collect and process these PV panels. The process of dismantling the panels is really important. PV panels are not easy to disassemble. 80% of the weight of panels is glass and aluminum, but there is an encapsulant that encloses the semiconductive material to the glass, and that's probably the most difficult process in order to separate the materials. But once the pre-separation is done, it's really easy to recycle the raw materials, such as the glass and aluminum. Then there's small amounts of the semiconductor material, typically crystalline silicon. And then there's small amounts of copper and silver in the wiring. And just for a local example, the Lobster Restaurant, which is located on our Santa Monica pier, installed solar only about 11 years ago, but the restaurant had some unforeseen roof issues and is going to want to replace its standing seam metal roof. And in order to do that, they're going to need to remove 55 panels. But the owner is thinking that, with how far the technology has come since 2008, they want to upgrade to today's technology and offset a higher percentage of their utility bill and the emissions associated with that. So they have 55 panels that they want to remove within the next month or so. And actually, most of the panels are still work. And so the installer is looking at donating them to Habitat for Humanity as a possible second life for the panels. But we know there are PV systems where the panels just don't work, and we need to find a place for those panels as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Joanne, but I will be talking to folks later on in the presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let me just go from the current slide. So Drew was able to share just one really great example of a business in Santa Monica who's facing solar panel management issues at the end of life. In the next few slides, we're going to share a couple other examples that we've heard from our CPSC associates. And just to remind everyone, our CPSC associates primarily represent local governments. So in this picture, we have a picture of a solar panel that was denied from the Butte County Household Hazardous Waste because they do not accept them. They later found it folded up and hidden at the bottom of the e-waste bin. And it has been one of the kind of motivations for us to apply for this grant project and to look into kind of local solutions for Butte County. As Drew mentioned, there's a lot of early adopters in that county. There are also a lot of solar panels that are decommissioned due to recent wildfires. So we are seeing an increase of solar panels decommissioned in this particular region. So Butte County, another recipient of the CalRecycle grant, also engaged in educating and researching how they can resolve it locally. This example here is a picture from solar panels that are stacked at an installer's warehouse in Marin. Again, the household hazardous waste in Marin was unable to accept them and were turned away. And since there's no affordable recycling option, this particular installer has decided to store them until there are opportunities to recycle them at a lower cost. We've also, in process of conducting our solar panel installer interviews in Butte County and in Santa Monica, we've heard from multiple respondents that they are also holding on to solar panels. We've heard some people say they just have a few broken ones that they don't know what to do with. We've heard upwards of 40 to 50 of they were rejected, didn't work. They're holding on to them to see if there's a viable solution in the near future. We've also heard from other people that there are larger amounts of solar panels, although we have no pictures and no written documentation. There are stories of housing developments installing low-cost solar panels, and not all of them work at the time of install. And they are stuck with this problem of what to do with the solar panels before they've even had a full lifetime of use. There's also other stories of examples of solar companies going out of business, no longer recognizing their solar panel warranties, no longer offering any type of information on how to solve solar panel end-of-life management. We like to talk about these issues at the California Product Stewardship Council because, as I mentioned before, we represent a lot of local government. We have our monthly calls, what we call our associates calls, and we always ask the local government, what products are most difficult for you to manage? What are the problems that are coming up in the next year? And solar panels has been on our radar for quite some time. We actually applied for this grant a year ago, but I can assure everyone this has been a topic of concern for our associates for years prior. And we've been working with different agencies and kind of engaging with this regulatory process to see how can we establish a system that's beneficial for everyone, solar users, solar installers, manufacturers, as well as the government and recyclers. Another example of some solar panel waste being costly and burdensome to a local government, in Tehama County, just recently, they found 2 solar panels hidden in the bottom of their e-waste bin. They took care of it through the proper methods, but in doing so, it cost them $2,700 to process 2 solar panels. So we can imagine if there are more consumers that are facing this issue of, well, what do I do with our solar panels? We need to be prepared to offer not only information and education, but also the infrastructure for long-term solar panel management. And we talk about solar panels as a growing problem because in our world, in the waste world, you know, most products that are hard to manage are a problem. Sometimes solar panels often talked about in all the very beneficial aspects of it. We and many other people around the world fully support renewable energy, and we want to have communities that are not using fossil fuels. But as a waste-focused nonprofit, we talk about these products at their end of life. And solar panels is one of those products that, although many people in the market don't seem to feel like it's an immediate problem, we're trying to communicate and broadcast that it's going to be a quickly growing issue for people across the state. As more and more people install solar, for example, we did our online survey in Butte County and the city of Santa Monica. We asked the respondents how many of them already have solar, roughly 11 and 12% for Butte County and Santa Monica respectively. And when we asked if they intended to install solars in the next 5 years, 21% in Butte County said yes, and 13% in city of Santa Monica said yes. So although this does not necessarily stipulate whether they're new solar panels on a new house, these are just kind of general questions. But we know in 2018, the California Energy Commission did pass a requirement that every new home after January 1, 2020 must have a solar panel on it. And in our world, growing rates of consumption often leads to growing rates of waste generation. And this is something we would like to address before it becomes a problem that is hard to manage. So we are doing our projects and we're conducting these webinars, and we're hoping that as more and more solar panels are installed, we can have a system that addresses the problem before it becomes too hard to manage. Our concern with the influx of mandatory solar panels is that there would be an increased demand in extremely low-cost solar panels, meaning just to meet the requirements, there's potential that home builders will choose the lowest cost option. With these purchases, we then face issues. Are the low-cost solar panels durable? Are they recyclable? Are there hazardous components in those solar panels? And so in order for us to, not us CPSC, but us as a community in the state to address the problem, it really comes to the products as they enter the market. So addressing through product design and good policy. So over the next few slides, I'm going to talk about how other countries and other states regulate solar panel recycling and end-of-life management. I'll also give you a quick update on the situation here in California. And in other countries, specifically in the European Union, they utilize a policy system, what we call extended producer responsibility. It's often referred to as EPR. Extended producer responsibility is a policy type where producers of a product are responsible for funding and managing the end-of-life program. The theory behind this policy option is that if a manufacturer is responsible for the cost and burden of managing and dismantling and recycling their products, they are incentivized to design a product and design a program that is cost efficient. So the European Union in 2002 implemented an extended producer responsibility policy on all electrical and electronic equipment. They call it the WEEE, W-E-E-E. And this is basically an EPR program for anything with a current. This is a great program. It has cell phones, it has batteries. And in 2012, that's 7 years ago, solar panels were becoming such a prominent issue that solar panels became its own category within the WEEE program. And that way they're able to track and manage solar panels separately from the other electronic waste. What we're able to learn from Europe is the successes and challenges of an EPR program, and ultimately looking at their data and tracking their increasing rate of solar panel decommission. In Washington State, just 2 states north of California, they also passed an extended producer responsibility program for solar panels. In 2017, they were the first state in the United States to pass an EPR program on solar panels. We've been working closely with local governments up there, and we're hoping to learn from their program to see if there's opportunities for similar programs in California. One of the characteristics of the Washington program is that it's only applicable for new solar panels entering the market. So it does not actually fund the panels that are legacy panels, the ones coming out prior purchase to 2017. So it's not a perfect program, but we're really encouraged and excited to see states being forward thinking in managing these products before it becomes a problem that's too hard to manage and too costly. Here in California, our policies are a little bit different on solar panels. Previous to 2015, our solar panels were categorized as household hazardous waste. And for those of you who do not know what HHW is, these are products that are deemed toxic and unsafe for public health and require special waste management programs to ensure safe handling of these toxic products. And I'm not a solar panel expert to understand exactly why this ruling was initially created, but from my research, I have found that some of the original solar panels did have toxic components within them. But in 2015, Senator Monning passed a law authorizing DTSC to recategorize their solar panels so that they are not considered HHW, but rather they are reclassified as universal waste. Universal waste implies they're harder to manage than regular trash and recycling, but with basic training and certain certifications, they can be processed with less regulations as HHW. Electronic waste in California is classified as universal waste, meaning a recycler should be trained and educated on how to take these products apart and recycle them. So they are more complicated and more dangerous than regular trash and recycling, but they're not fully hazardous and they don't require a full HHW classification. So the Monning bill in 2015 basically reclassified the solar panels from HHW to become universal waste. The legislation only authorized DTSC, so that actually required DTSC to then take on this project and actually write the regulations and start the reclassification process. Here we are in 2019, that is 4 years after the Monning bill has passed, and the DTSC regulations have not been fully implemented, but they are still doing workshops. For example, just this Monday, their most recent workshop was broadcasted, and it was live in Sacramento, broadcasted online, and CPSC submitted a letter in a way to kind of support DTSC in this process and encourage certain amendments to make a regulation that would be most beneficial for all of our networks and supporters. The slide that you have on your screen is our letter from 2017 to DTSC. This is a letter that you can see was signed by many of our supporters, encouraging DTSC to speed the process up and to finish the regulations so that we can set up a recycling infrastructure for these products that we know will be increasing in volume in the near future. I do see there's a couple questions on when we're going to talk about Santa Monica and Butte specifically. And the good news is it's in 2 slides from now. So just to kind of show you which regulations and laws we're facing, we also have, there's quite a few other industry associations and industry organizations that are also engaged in this regulatory process. Solar Energy Industries Association and CalCEA, I do believe, has changed their logo and their name since this letter was published, but they also submitted a letter in 2017 to DTSC, committing to proactively helping DTSC with the regulation process and urging expedited completion. And I can tell you at this point that we do not actually have the regulations in completion. We are really hoping to have them by the first of the year. And that is primarily motivation for us to get our HHW grant projects planned and organized. When we first won these grants from CalRecycle, we started our research process to see, okay, if we have these collection events tomorrow, what would it cost under these current DTSC rulings, which is HHW categorization? Our budgets for these projects would not go as far. We were extremely limited by some of the transportation laws, some of the processing laws. So we've actually decided to use this summer to work on education and to work on our research locally so that we can actually plan an event that is most impactful in these two jurisdictions. So just to give everyone a little background, CalRecycle funds household hazardous waste grant projects, meaning us as a nonprofit work together with our local governments, Butte County and Santa Monica. We applied for grants specifically to pilot solar panel recycling events. And we are the two first solar panel recycling projects in the state. And this is because CPSC was very vocal in asking for solar panels to be a product of focus under the HHW grant project. So we're so thankful for CalRecycle for funding these types of projects and for being aware of the products that are up and coming and of concern in our local jurisdiction. Both Butte County and Santa Monica will be hosting solar panel collection and recycling events. We have the next year to conduct our research. So as we will talk about in the next few slides, we've been doing online surveys. We've been doing phone interviews with recyclers and solar panel installers. We will not only do this webinar, we hope to do another webinar when the DTSC regulations are updated so we can educate everyone on every detail that is applicable to solar panel recycling. And we'll also continue to educate locally through sharing articles, sharing information as it arises. And with the next few slides, I'm going to change it over to Drew, where he can share some of the specific information that we've got through our solar panel interviews in Santa Monica and Butte County.
Great. So as Joanne mentioned, our collection events are going to be likely next summer, but in the meantime, CPSC has been doing some great work conducting outreach to the local solar installer community. I provided CPSC with a list of all the solar installers that have worked in Santa Monica, and they called others in Butte County and throughout the state as well to understand the scope of the issue from the perspective of the solar installer community. We wanted to know if customers have been asking about end-of-life management, if installers were willing and able to pick up solar panels, if they've disposed of them in the past, and if they have any stockpiled waiting for disposal, and if so, how many and what types, and what percentage of panels are broken during the installation process, and get their take on how PV panel recycling can be improved locally. And this is really important outreach because obviously solar installers are likely the first companies that homeowners and businesses will call if they have any issues with their PV system. They're the professionals who can safely get up on the roofs and disconnect PV panels. And then moving further along, I think it's really important for us cities to be involved because at least here in Santa Monica, we have a resource recovery and recycling program at our city yards. We do door-to-door trash and recycling pickup and even door-to-door hazardous waste. However, we are unable to collect PV panels at this time because of the existing regulations, and we're also doing city yards modernization. So again, next summer is the target date for a collection event. But in the meantime, it's great to get in touch with the installer community to understand the issue as it is today. So we heard from the installers that not one of them actually offered PV end-of-life management, and most don't know what to do or recommend to customers. They obviously don't see it as a main business avenue at this point because, as was mentioned earlier, it's very expensive and complicated to manage PV recycling. So again, something we're trying to solve. And we learned that panels do sometimes break during the transportation and installation process, but we've learned that oftentimes they can be sent back to the manufacturer. And we learned that most installers don't have any broken panels in their warehouses, but we did hear from a couple that have, a small quantity up to, 40 or 50 panels that they are just warehousing and figuring out what to do with. And we also learned that a small percentage actually took the panels to the landfill, which we think might be illegal, but it's hard to say where they were taken and how they are processed. And finally, we learned that working panels can be donated, which is really great. Our local Habitat for Humanity does have a donation program, so they accept all sorts of building materials. And we recommend calling your local Habitat for Humanity donation to see if they will accept PV panels near you. So those are the results from the interviews. Now I'll pass it back to Joanne.
Thanks, Drew. Before I move on, just a quick explanation of the solar panel scooter. This is a company that actually contacted us in their research for how to get a hold of solar panels for reuse. They actually take working solar panels and they create these scooters. The company, I believe, is based out of south of San Francisco in the Silicon Valley area. Solar Micro Mobility is the name of the company, and I think it's just an interesting opportunity. We've also looked into other creative uses for solar panels. We've seen a really interesting fence. We've seen some art projects using them, but just a little more information on our event. I know many of the solar installer interviewees are actually on this webinar. So just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you for giving us 5-10 minutes of your time for the information. Thank you for attending the webinar, and we hope to really work together in the future. For the installers that are on the webinar who were not part of the interview, but maybe found the webinar through our email blast, through our advertisements, or through our social media posts, we also welcome you. And for those of you who are not part of Butte County and Santa Monica, I encourage you to reach out to us to see if there's any opportunity to apply for future grants, to design other projects or collection events locally. But the 2 CalRecycle grants are specific to Butte County and the city of Santa Monica. And the goal of the events are to give free solar panel recycling to residents. But in part of our research, we found, a lot of times the residents are not the ones actually taking them off the roof and handling them. So working with CalRecycle, we are working out a program to potentially accept the solar panels from the installers with a signed agreement from the homeowners that we can call and verify at the day of the event to ensure that it is coming from a residential house and household. And in doing so, you would get the solar panel recycling for free. One of the other benefits of these 2 projects are the data that we're going to actually collect at the day of our event. So our goal not only is to give the residents a free option to handle their PV panels, but to also track and categorize the types and brands of panels coming in, the age of the panels, meaning when was it manufactured, when was it broken, when was it decommissioned. There's a lot of opportunities to really learn about these products at these 2 events. So although the date and location are yet to be set, the reason for that, like we explained, we are waiting for the Dtsc regs to be finalized so that we can ensure that we're in compliance with our events and that we can get the most impact for our budget. We can assure everyone that the locations will be public and easily accessible with a truck. We also encourage everyone on this webinar to contact us if you would like to be on the list to get the announcement of when these events are planned. We will be doing this, we will be advertising our events through local newspapers, through solar installer magazines. There's a lot of opportunities for us to advertise. If anyone on this webinar has any good ideas of a good outlet or a good channel for us to advertise, we're definitely open to ideas. The goal, if it's a one-day event, we want as many people as possible to bring their solar panels for free. So although it is just residential for these events, commercial panels could potentially be brought, but pay a fee. So we will be working with Cal Recycle, we will be working with the local government to make an event that collects as much of the solar panel waste locally as possible, but the free aspect of it is only for residential as covered by the grant. CPSC, we are a nonprofit, and one of the things we're so proud of is the partnerships that we build and the network that we have within our partners and associates. I've already talked a lot about the local government and some of the waste haulers involved, but I also want to bring a little attention to the fact that we work often with industry associations to make sure we're aligned with education, making sure we can work together for long-term solutions. Another example of partners that we work with are SEER, which is the California Electronic Asset Recovery. They are an electronics recycler based out of Sacramento, and they are often there when we have questions, and they will likely be working with us with our Butte County project. It's important to have partnerships when dealing with such a large-scale issue, like solar panel across the state and solar panel across the country. So working with our partners is really important. Some of our other partners that we've talked about, solar recyclers who contact us, or the solar scooter company who contact us. In part of our research with the Santa Monica project, we have been in contact with Recycle PV. This is the closest recycler that we can find that is, as of today, able to recycle these solar panels with a lower greenhouse gas impact, meaning we would ideally like to ship the solar panels as close as possible. So although we know there are recyclers in Texas, we know there's recyclers in the East Coast, for us, our decision making is not primarily, it's not just on cost. We also care about greenhouse gases and how far these solar panels have to travel in order to be recycled, especially given that there's opportunities in Arizona and Sacramento, given that we all work together to ensure that it is sustainable and compliant. We asked our solar panel installers during our interviews, how can solar panel recycling be improved locally? And across the board, everyone said education. Everyone said, engaging in dialogue, allowing opportunity for installers to be involved in setting up the infrastructure and inviting installers to engage in the regulatory process. Other responses, we're talking about donation and reuse. Here in California, we adhere to what we call the waste hierarchy, meaning reuse is more important to us than recycling. So if the panels still work and they have the ability to actually generate energy, we do encourage you to look into opportunities for donation, reuse, or repurposing. Other responses were about standard operating procedures, looking at kind of local laws, state laws, and getting in alignment across other states. And hopefully this webinar has kind of shown you that it is not unanimous. Policies do differ across countries, across states. And in California, we really are working hard to get a really substantial program in place for long-term solar panel recycling. Again, we hope to continue our education on this topic. We hope to continue our outreach, not only in Butte County and Santa Monica, but across the country, so that installers, manufacturers, all the stakeholders involved with solar panels are aware of how to handle this product at the end of life. So I always want to leave everyone with some really actionable items, some things that you can do. So things that if you didn't listen to any of the other slides, hopefully you're paying attention now, and you can learn that it's really simple to, if you notice a problem in your solar system, immediately contact your installer or contact your service provider to see what types of options they offer. Maybe they have arrangements with the manufacturer. Maybe there are local programs or projects that are able to help you with your problem to fix it. If the panels do need to be replaced but still operate, we encourage you to consider donating for reuse or contacting a reseller. So Drew mentioned Habitat for Humanity. There's also companies like Solar Cowboys who specialize in kind of repurposing and reselling solar panels and solar panel components. Again, higher on the waste hierarchy. We support reuse and repurposing over recycling. But if the solar panels have broken glass or they're damaged, you can look into refurbishing or reselling. Again, Recycle PV, Solar Cowboys, these are examples of companies who could work with you to fix or possibly refurbish solar panels. Also, if they're broken or damaged, we encourage you to also contact your local HHW or recycling center to see if they accept them. If they do not accept them, they could possibly point you in the right direction. If they don't, you can always contact us. We can use our research skills to help find you a safe place to process your panel. We encourage everyone to follow the Dtsc regulations. Again, that's the Department of Toxic Substances Control. And I promise you there will be action. I mean, just the workshop on Monday was extremely informative and interesting. There are public letters being sent to Dtsc in making recommendations and supporting the process. So I encourage you, you can actually go to Dtsc and follow some of their listservs for solar panel regulations. You can also join the CPSC listserv. We have a solar panel specific listserv. We also have a solar panel website that we keep up to date, where we send articles and we send announcements. So I encourage everyone to get onto these listservs, have the information in your inbox, and you can be on the pulse of solar panel recycling, which I promise will be a hot topic in the upcoming years. If you live in Butte County or the city of Santa Monica, please encourage your residents to stay up to date and participate in our collection event. Residents will be able to recycle their panels for free. Installers can potentially bring residential panels for free with a signed and verified agreement. And we will work with CalRecycle to potentially offer commercial solar panel recycling for a fee, but that fee is yet to be determined based on who the recycler will be. And again, CPSC will not be accepting that money. It would be working with a recycler directly. So it all will come down to planning these events, making them the most impactful, and getting as many participants as possible. And lastly, we encourage everyone to invest in solar panels that are warranted, they have non-hazardous components, and are manufactured and designed in a way that are recyclable at the end of life. A way to ensure that you are buying these types of panels is to ask your installers and to ask the solar salesperson about end of life at the point of purchase. This is something we encourage for all products. To ensure a circular industrial system, the end of life needs to be talking to the design team. So hopefully as consumers and businesses start investing in solar panels, we can encourage manufacturers to start working together with the stakeholders to develop a long-term sustainable solar panel recycling system in California. I thank everyone for listening to our webinar. This would be a great opportunity if you did have any questions to type them into the question box at the bottom. I have a few already started, so I will start addressing those right now. But again, we do have some time, so if there's any type of opportunity to ask a question or discuss something I've said, please feel free to do so. One of the questions is, are utility scale solar installers providing decommissioning costs that provide for recycling costs of panels? Massive scale, obviously. So if we can't recycle small amounts, what are we doing on the big amount? And I think this is actually a very interesting question. One of the things that we've run into with the two projects that we're working on is we're really focused on that residential side of it. Most residential sites, houses and systems don't have too many panels. So when we start seeing this utility scale of solar panels, meaning entire solar fields or entire housing development, we're going to have these same issues on a larger scale. Drew, did you want to speak to this specifically?
Yeah, well, I only know of one company called First Solar who manufactures cadmium telluride thin film panels, which have a higher percentage of some toxicity in that chemistry. So they have a recycling plant, I believe it's in Ohio, as well as two in Europe, to decommission their panels. And those panels are used primarily in utility scale projects. But other than that, here in the US, there aren't, I don't know of any utility scale recycling programs. I know in Europe, it's more commercialized in their processes, but I think there's a huge amount of opportunity in R&D to automate and make the recycling process more efficient to handle large quantities of panels that are forthcoming.
Thank you. Yeah, and I also think this is a great topic to bring up during the DTSC regulations. In that process, they are still open for comment. If this is something you want to be addressed, I encourage you to potentially put it in a letter, and you can address it to the DTSC, and you can send it to regs, R-E-G-S, at dtsc.ca.gov, and let them know that this is something you're thinking about and you would like to see addressed. Next question, is the collection event for residential panels, or can commercial panels be brought? The grant only covers residential panels. In our research, we have found, it's a problem for both residential and commercial solar users. So we are working with CalRecycle and recyclers to plan an event that will accept both, but know that we cannot actually spend grant money on the commercial panel recycling, but we also want to get the data and to get those recycled. So we really hope that our events will address both.
And
next one is actually more, yep.
Oh, just one more point on the recycling events. If we have to ship these panels to Arizona, we're going to look at palletizing panels and potentially trying to fill up a truck. So we might have an economy of scale with the shipping company or the recycling company if we were to merge the residential and commercial collection event. So we're hopeful that we will have an event that will accept both.
Thank you. Next is a comment, and this is regarding urban ore in Berkeley. So for those of you who are in the Bay Area near San Francisco, urban ore in Berkeley is selling used solar panels. They're similar to Habitat for Humanity, but for profit since 1980. They're happy to receive used panels with useful lives. They are even willing to pay it cash out for certain panels. They've sold over 600 used panels since December 2016 and haven't had any returns. We have space, a brand, and a DIY customer base accustomed to buying used stuff. So that's a wonderful opportunity for those of you in the Bay Area looking to promote an option for your local customers or your local residents to take their solar panels if they still have useful life. Next one is a comment. Please be sure to contact the California Solar and Storage Association. So this is the old CalSIA. On the previous slides, California Solar Energy Industry Association has changed their name to the California Solar and Storage Association. Another great opportunity to get involved, follow their information, their newsletters. Does CPSC have an estimated time for Dtsc to finalize the regulation? I don't think we hope they could be finished by January. I don't know. This is just, my hopefulness. I don't have any factual basis on that. I believe in the workshops, they did encourage that they are trying their hardest to finish them as quickly as possible. But I don't think any of us on this webinar could really put a date on when those actually will be finished. Let's see, next question. So someone did point out that the comment period for DTSC did close yesterday. So I'm sorry that email that I gave you, sometimes they do still accept comments. So I do still encourage you to send your comments, to send your letters to that email address. They just sometimes, if you send them after the deadline, they aren't necessarily incorporated into the full analysis, but it's still good to send them in.
Yeah, and there should be another comment review period after the next draft.
All right. In your research, have you talked with PV manufacturers about what they do with returned or damaged modules? This is a great question. We still have a lot more research to do in the rest of the summer. And I think for how much great information we got from the installers, I think this is a wonderful suggestion that we would love to turn our attention and start doing a few interviews with solar manufacturers. I don't actually have, we haven't conducted one that officially where they have told us what they do with the returned or damaged modules, but I'm definitely interested. And if we can do one of those interviews, I will gladly share the information learned. If anyone on this webinar has access to a manufacturer or is a manufacturer, please contact me. I'd love to engage in conversation and learn a little bit more. You asked for suggestions on advertising. I think partnering with electric companies in the area to allow you to do a flyer for residential customers. I think that's a wonderful idea. Thank you very much. Especially if we want to target those who are already using the solar panel. All right, I am interested in getting an event like this going in Santa Clara County. Who can I contact for guidance and process for what you have undergone? You can contact me, Joanne at calpsc.org. You can also go to our website, calpsc.org, and go to our product page and go to solar panels. And you can see that we actually do a lot of different types of work on solar panels, not just our HHW events with Cow Recycle. But if that's something you're interested in, we can work together. They take applications every year. We can design a proposal. And even then, if we don't win the grant, there are other opportunities to look for additional funding and to plan these events that are, as low cost as possible to have a positive impact on the community. Next question. We are happy to promote Santa Monica and Butte County events and our contractor members whenever those are planned. Thank you very much. We'll definitely be utilizing our networks and hoping to actually get a hold of a lot of the contractors to participate in our event. All right, I have another comment. A comment on your utility scale question. Solar farms can afford to pay the $4,000 test the panels for toxicity. And if it comes up as non-toxic, they can dump it in the landfill. At least that's what SMUD's doing. I'm happy to connect you with manufacturers. So this is pretty interesting. I think there's a lot of opportunities when you're purchasing the solar panels to address the toxicity and address the recyclability. At this point, though, I do not believe it's legal to put them in the landfill. They are, under California law, considered HHW, so they need to go to a HHW event facility. Another comment, there are podcasts on NPR for talking to the public, may be a good target for the local and regional audience. So that's a really good idea to use NPR as a channel to advertise this event. Great questions, everyone. You can barely keep up with all of them. So my contact information is Joanne, Joanne, at calpsc.org. That's calpsc.org. You can also go to the website. You can click the contact us link, and a good opportunity if you want to get on our list for solar panels, if you want to get on our list for advertising the event, and if you want to be involved in maybe planning an event locally, that's a really great opportunity. Are there any other questions? There's another comment. Good Sun, based out of Grass Valley, California, also accepts panels for reuse. You can go to their website at goodsun.life. Wonderful. We love learning about these types of opportunities, all the different companies that are engaged. So again, thank you everyone so much for participating. There are no more questions that I see in the box at this point. So I guess we can adjourn a little bit early. Drew and I will stay on the line in case someone has questions over the next few minutes if you think of some. Again, if you think of a question or a comment later, you can email me at joanne@calpsc.org. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Drew, do you have any closing comments?
Joanne, Drew appears to be online, but I'm not hearing anything from her.
Yes, hi.
Oh.
Went great. I couldn't see the questions in the chat, but thanks for reading them out.
Are we still live?
All right. Yes, we are. I was going to ask if you'd like me to bring it to a close.
I haven't seen any questions in the last few minutes. So again, if anyone has any questions, we have a few minutes right now. And thank you, everyone. Yeah, we can conclude our webinar now.
All right. Thank you, everybody.